Well, Betty, thank you very much for agreeing to talk to us. It'd be good if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from.
I was born many years ago at Kew. I lived there for the first few years of my life. From the age of 3.5, moved to Surbiton and have lived in the house I live in the byways ever since. Went to school locally. I joined Emmanuel when I was about 5 years old and have been there ever since.
So what year was that roughly when you were 5 years old, if that's not giving things away?
1937.
Quite a long time ago.
Yes.
So you worked with children in schools for a long time, and you helped a lot with brownies as well, I believe.
Yes, I started as a pack leader, then went on to be a tawny owl, and then became brown owl and ran 2 brownie packs here until I went to college.
I can imagine that in your time as a school teacher and as a brownie leader, you must have had some funny things that children have said to you. What would be your favourite?
I think my favourite was returning back to the brownies after I'd left. They had, in those days, brownies used to dance around toadstools, and they were having a new one, and I asked if the one they were replacing was the paper mache one or the fiberglass one. And I said, didn't think it was fiberglass, must be the paper mache. I said, well, in that case, it was the one that was in brownies when I was a brownie, of which I heard a brownie say, cool, that's as old as the dinosaurs.
Well, even I don't think you go back as far as dinosaurs, if it is back some way. Betty, how old were you when you first became aware of Jesus and the Christian faith?
I suppose growing up at Emmanuel, I heard the Christian message. I suppose in my teens I began to understand it a bit more. But it was in my later teens that it really began to make sense. And at a Tom Rees rally, which we went up to from Emmanuel, there was the challenge of coming forward if you wanted to accept Christ or no more. And I went forward. And I think from then on, I became a Christian. I gave my life to Christ.
Did that make an immediate difference to you, do you think?
I think for a few weeks it did. Because I think I wanted to prove that I had given my life to Christ. But gradually I think things almost went back to living normal life. I say a normal life, as I had done. But I did continue reading my Bible. I was given Bible notes. I continued to come to Emmanuel, was in the youth group and eventually singing in the choir. Yes, I prayed occasionally. And yes, I continued in my faith, but I won't say that I grew very much and understood really what it was about until later.
What was it that caused you to start to grow as a Christian, do you think?
I think the first challenge possibly came in the 70s. My father developed dementia. My mother was housebound with arthritis. I was looking after both of them, running the house and working at the same time. And I began to question where God was. Is God in this? And if so, why? What on earth is he doing? And it seemed the more I prayed, the worse things got. And I struggled for many years. And what I will say was I had the backing of my friends at Emmanuel, although at the time I didn't realise it.
So you found a church community was a great support to you?
Yes, very supportive. And something else I didn't realise until many years later, that God was with me. He was walking beside me. I felt I was in a tunnel where there was no light. And I realised years later that God was with me in that tunnel. Pitch black, I couldn't see a way ahead. God was there. I didn't know he was there. I couldn't feel he was there. And I didn't believe he was there, but he was. And I suppose the incident that really struck it was seeing night vision cameras on television. And I felt God saying to me, Betty, I don't need night vision cameras. I can see in the dark. I was there with you. And I think from then on, my faith grew because I realised God was there, even though I hadn't realised it.
Well, I think we've established, Betty, that you're not young. So what has kept you going all these years as a Christian?
I suppose realising that the Bible is true, that what God has said in his word is trustworthy. So Christmas, God sent his son because he loved me. because he loved the world. Easter, Jesus died. Jesus died in my place on the cross. That's Good Friday. Easter Sunday, he rose again. And I felt God saying, yes, you are forgiven. I've died in your place, or rather Jesus, my son, has died in your place. And you are now accepted by me. You become my child. I'm your heavenly Father. And I think realising that has just kept me going. That I'm not alone. Even if it feels as though I'm alone. Even if at times I don't feel God is close. I can trust him. That his promise he will never leave me, nor forsake me. And that keeps me going.
Now for many years, you've helped us at Emmanuel with distributing Bible reading notes. Would you recommend that to somebody who wants to keep going as a Christian?
Oh yes, definitely. Have a word with me or someone you know. Go into the Christian bookshop down at the Broadway, Refresh. Have a word with them, because the notes I use may not be suitable for one person. There's so many. But go in and find out. They'll be very, very willing to help you.
For somebody watching this who might be interested in finding out more about Jesus and the Christian faith, what would you recommend as the first thing they should do?
Come along to Emmanuel. Find out what's happening. Come along on a Sunday. Pick up the Bible. Start with one of the Gospels, Mark or Luke.
The life of Jesus.
Or even John, reading the life of Jesus. And something which really has struck me over the last few days is a chapter in Isaiah, a very old, in the Old Testament, but a chapter in there which is chapter 53. I hope I've got the one right, you can check this. Anyway, chapter 53, it talks about God sending someone, and it so depicts what Christ went through on the cross. But start with the gospel.
Well, Betty, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts about the Christian life with us. Thank you.